Greetings and welcome to week 2 of our class. It's late Monday morning and I'm getting this video out. I've finished all the grading this week and your grades are all in, so thanks for the work. Just want a couple of comments. First of all, overall, I was quite pleased with what I saw. I think your discussion posts were clear and good, and you responded to people, and your essays were generally good. I didn't say a lot about essays. I just kind of wanted to see how the first week worked out, and I would say overall I was generally they met the expectations that I had. What I'm looking for in an essay is probably 1 to 2 pages, kind of a nice introductory paragraph with your premise of what you're going to say what you're going to say, and a nice concluding piece. That's kind of the main thing that I'm looking for. And for most of you that did that, give some examples, show me that you've not just read the piece, but have some thoughts about it as well. Let's talk about the project a little bit. All of you have chosen a company to work on, and that's good. I think the choices were all ones that'll be interesting cases, so I think that's going to go well. Now's the time to start doing your research. So divide it up among the members. Everybody needs to participate. And just a reminder that at the end, when you turn in your evaluation, you turn in your final projects, you're also going to turn in an evaluation sheet in which you are evaluating your team members as to their participation, and I will take that into consideration in the final grade. So I do expect everybody to be attentive and involved in doing the research. Um, and I'd like a couple of comments about the project and your research. Try not to limit your research to simply news-only articles. Everybody can find news about Facebook or VW in the local press. That's not a problem, and you can use some of those. But also try to go a little bit deeper into some business journals and some international journals and business pieces that would really talk more about the content of what went on and why it went on in that case, and looking at the pros and cons. Some of you pointed out in your essays this week, when you're looking at companies doing business, and in this case, an example of, for example, VW that did international business, what are the norms? What are the things that causes a company to act one way in one country and one way in another country? Keep your citations, make your notes clear. You might share, and please do share some of your research, and everybody again should participate. As far as your readings this week, you're going to read chapter 4 in the Hartman book about corporate culture. That's a really important chapter. They all are, but that's a really important chapter in that even this first week, what you've talked about, some of it has to do with, so what is the culture of the organization you're working for, and how does that culture inform how the company behaves? Companies that are multinational necessarily have a very different culture than a company that's just operates in one country. And they need to. So make sure you take that into consideration when you're looking at how does a culture affect what has to do. It certainly affects the case studies you're going to be looking on too. And as you're reading chapter 4, think about the assignment of, you're not going to write an essay this week, but you're going to do the Harvard Business case study sheet, and that can help you with your project. It also help you thinking about as you work on ethics. You're going to read the Schmitz Press article in the course pack and do the little format in which you use the HBR case study analysis to turn that in. So you're just going to put that information in there and send that in to me. It should be pretty clear. It's a little different than writing an essay. It's more showing me your linear thinking process as you work through the pros and cons of how a company addressed what they were doing. You have 2 modules this week. I think both of them are very helpful. One of them on vocation. Maybe something, if you had another class, you may have had that in that class. Sometimes it's in the one Christianity class you take. Sometimes they don't put it in there. I'm not too sure this time. But vocation has a lot to do with why you work and what work's all about. The second one has to do with servant leadership. And I put this one together a number of years ago because I'm really convinced that a person's perspective on how you see yourself as a leader and a servant leader has a lot to do with your ethics and how you view the application of your ethics in the work that you're doing. So do those 2 modules, and we will spend some time in our live session, not this week because we don't have a live session, but next week talking about those a little bit too. One thing I discovered, because I don't use Firefox normally, is that if you try to open up those modules in something other than Firefox, they're likely not to open. So if you, like me, Forgot about using Firefox. Use Firefox and the modules should open up without any problem this week. I just read an article this morning in the Wall Street Journal that I put on your readings for this week. I'd say it's optional, but it's interesting. It has to do with the coronavirus and business. And it presents the idea that the way to handle the coronavirus in the United States could be about either containment or mitigation. And the reason I put the article in there for you to read is because it's a great example of using utilitarian thinking to determine the best course of action. So it's not a long article. It's actually an op-ed piece by James Freeman, but he doesn't use the word utilitarianism, but he does talk about the pros and cons of one way or another and how they would affect business. And it's a very utilitarian argument. Thought you might find it interesting, and maybe we can talk about it a little bit. Again, if you have any questions during the week, don't hesitate to email me. I'm pretty good at responding fast on that. I will probably get in on the discussions on Thursday like I did last week and try to put some comments in there just to keep you thinking. If I write on yours, it doesn't mean that I thought yours was particularly better or worse than anybody else's. I'll just choose a few each week and jump in there and write on that. Again, thank you for week one of everybody getting your work in on time. I really appreciate that. I kind of let things settle on Sunday, and my goal is Monday morning. I'm right at it, and we'll get your work back to you usually by noon on Monday. So have a blessed week. I look forward to talking to you in person next week. But for this week, heads down, hard at work, and God bless. Thank you.